Hey, welcome into today, the Brewery Underground Podcast. Steve Sullivan, joined by Scott Touron. Scott, how the heck are you, man?
Man, I'm great. I almost forgot how to do this. It's been a couple of weeks since we've actually got on in a long time. We've been doing work and we've been editing things, but I've almost forgot how to log on today. So good to see your face. Good to be back at it. And I think I had a little shot of whiskey over here, so I think the nerves are gone too. So
All right.
I'm feeling good.
I am feeling good too, and one of the big reasons I'm feeling good today is because we have a really great episode coming to you from Cincinnati, my hometown. We're going to be talking all about MadTree Brewing today, and we have with us Brittany Frey, who is the head brewer for MadTree, and also Ryan Blevins, who is the director of Brewing Ops. Hello and welcome to you. Welcome to you both. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to be here. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We're excited.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Well, in the Brewery Underground tradition, we always try to start, opening up some sort of alcoholic beverage if you have one. And I don't know if you guys do, but I know I have one. And tonight I'm actually drinking Atomic Dog cider that I got recently from here in Nashville. So I'm gonna crack this open and see how it goes. And Brittany and Ryan, how about yourselves? Are you you got anything going on tonight?
Yeah, I have my half-liter mug full of Oktoberfest. Our Ziegler World Beer Cup award-winning. I know it's early. I know it's still hot, but it's fresh and delicious, and I'm pretty damn excited to have it right now.
I love that you got it in Stein too. It's perfect.
I have our Mexican lager, a huevo. So we're both crushing some lagers tonight, it sounds like.
That one's a little more
very nice. Well, we are a little embarrassed because we can no longer, it seems, get MadTree in this area, and we've had it before. We've had a lot of MadTree, so we're not drinking MadTree tonight. Unfortunately, normally we try to drink some with you. We just weren't able to get some. But what I've got here is called Toxic Earth, and it's a collab between Abomination and Toxic Earth, and it's a coconut and double the Macta or something, 9.3 double IPA. So we're going to start strong.
There you go.
All right. We always love to start this
everybody.
Podcast pretty strong. And cheers. Yeah, cheers to everybody. And we're going to talk about that Oktoberfest right away. But before we do that, though, I want to talk about what you both do at MadTree. Brittany, so you're the head brewer there. Really want to get into that. Like, what basically do you do as a head brewer for people that may not be familiar with that kind of a role at a brewery?
So I feel like the head brewer role could be a little different at every brewery. But at MadTree, we kind of have it designated where I'm the one who is, putting together the entire production schedule from start to finish. I take care of managing the people that are on the floor, our brewers, sellers, and packaging people. I also take care of our raw material contracts and just make sure, honestly, that we're producing the best quality beer. A lot of times, or all the time, working with our phenomenal team to make sure that our quality standards are met. We are executing the volume that we need to hit our sales goals, and then obviously making sure that we're continuing to make our people happy and grow them within their roles.
Great. How about you, Ryan? You're the director of Brewing Operations. So really, what does that role entail for you at MadTree?
So it's overseeing the whole production side of the business, from strategic planning, assisting our brewing team, our maintenance team, our quality team, just overseeing and helping them grow and making sure they have what they need to be successful. And quite honestly, still trying to figure it out. I've only been in this role for about a month, and I was the head brewer previous to Brittany, and she's only been in that role for about a month. So her and I are just like tag teaming to make sure we continue to move this monster forward. But yeah, that's about it right now.
Well, certainly congratulations on both of you, and it sounds like you've been doing pretty well at MadTree. And We talked before we started recording that the both of us have been to MadTree a number of times. I probably have been there 7 or 8 times at least. I know I've been to the one certainly in Oakley about that many times. Been to the one downtown as well. Can you guys really describe as far as like the Oakley location? I know that was once in an airplane hangar. Can you really describe like the charm of this place and especially like the outside patio area and the inside, how big it really is?
Man, I feel like I've told this story a million times. I'd love to hear Brittany's perspective on this.
um, so it honestly is probably one of the most unique breweries, especially in Cincinnati. Our whole production facility is in an airplane hangar that, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, it is original from World War II. It's not the original location. It was moved to Oakley. So it's really cool to just kind of work in that nostalgic of a building. It was a paper mill after the hangar moved there. There is still some of that building in our beer garden outside. And we built a little bit onto it. As far as like how large it is, I will be very honest. It's gigantic.
It is gigantic.
It's it's not as big as like some of the ones that I've been to, like Trillium or New Glarus, but it's for our area and the city that it's in. It's the biggest beer garden, and honestly, it's probably one of the most prettiest too. But space-wise, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that because the outside, I mean, for people that have not been outside, the patio area, which is so large, and you said it really has the charm out there. It's almost like you have kept the aesthetics from what it used to be like, and I think that really adds to the whole vibe to the place. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that where the beer garden was actually a warehouse, and we just tore that whole building down, but left that exterior facing wall to kind of obviously block out some road noise, but really just kind of like make it feel like you're somewhere else. You know, we have a really awesome neighborhood that we're in, Oakley, and it's really walkable. And people get to walk there, and then they feel like they're not in Oakley anymore, which is really cool.
Yeah. And you guys opened up a second location in downtown. I know we were there a couple of years ago, probably about the first year that it had opened. And I love this place too. It was interesting because it's almost like a totally different feel from the Oakley location. Is that something that you feel like the folks that when they were planning that out was kind of strategic, that we wanted to just do something a little bit different for the really for craft beer and even for other folks, because it offers a variety of a lot of different things.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, it's only 10 minutes from where we are now. I wanted to make sure we were providing a different experience for customers when they come through. You know, that they know it's MadTree, so they're going to expect this high level of customer service and products and whatnot, but we're going to give them a completely different feel, you know, from menu. We're really like, I mean, Brittany and I are both brewers by heart. But beer is like the bottom of the rung there at Alcove because our food and our cocktails are just phenomenal, which I love, and it's awesome. And it's just like, it's really cool to see that we can do something else too.
If I may, to your point, when Steve and I walked in there the first time, we walked in through the front door, like I guess the restaurant part. You know, we're probably, I don't know, we rolled in hot, to say the least. And we're looking for beer, and we walk into this nice place. I go, Steve, we're not in the right place at all, because it was so kind of upscale, you know. And like, I think you guys want the greenhouse back there in the back. It's like, okay, we are here after all. So
yeah, and there's different spaces that give different vibes too. And that greenhouse and patio. I mean, we talk about how awesome our beer garden is in Oakley. That patio in downtown Cincinnati, that's unlike anything down there too, which is pretty awesome. It's got trees right in the middle of it and everything like that. So it's a really cool experience.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, real quick. We got there early. We were kind of the first ones in there, and it seemed like when work let out, you're in an area where like maybe there's a lot of walk-up traffic too, businesses and things like that, because it filled up almost immediately.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. It really feels like it's a great location for, and in fact, I think we were there a couple of years ago, kind of pre-gaming before a Reds game, and it's not that far from the ballpark. I feel like with all the events that go on downtown, throughout the year, I feel like that's a really perfect location to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, we get a lot of traffic before Reds games and a lot of traffic before the FC Cincinnati games too, because we're pretty much within walking distance of that stadium as well.
Well, obviously it's a busy time for you guys because now, I know you guys are looking into and building a third location that's going to be opening soon, in for people that aren't familiar, maybe with the Cincinnati area, it's a suburb. It's called Blue Ash. Can you talk about your third location that's going to be opening, sometime here in the future?
Yeah, so it's going to be it's in a park called Summit Park. There's already some established businesses there, and we will actually be very fortunate to take over an area that is one of the original airplane hangars, because that park used to actually be an airport. So we're kind of bringing that Oakley feel to Summit Park with being in that space of an airplane hangar. It's going to be a very hospitality focused private event area. They are building, it's kind of almost, we call it Oakley Tap Room 2.0. Where it's kind of like 2.0, and just like if we actually got to rebuild that and do what we wanted forever ago, that's what this place is going to be. Bunch of bar seating. There's going to be takeaway beer and food, because the park actually is a DORA district. So that is, Ryan, correct me with this acronym. It's drinking, outdoor refreshment.
Designated outdoor refreshment area.
There it is. Yep. So you can literally take a beer from our tap room, one of the plastic compostable cups, and walk around the park. You can go on a hike. You can take your kids to the playground. You could go to many other restaurants too. So it's going to be a really cool area where we get to really show our ethos as a business, where we're connecting people to nature.
And I think it's really exciting because, not only do you have the downtown location and you have the location now, in Oakley that you've had for a number of years, then now you're going into the Blue Ash area. So you really, it's a really exciting time for MadTree.
Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate to be able to grow and find spaces that really help us to differentiate what we're doing. Like I said, Alco is very different than what we do in Oakley, and Blue Ash will be very different from both of those. So it'll be nice that even though it's MadTree, you'll get a completely different experience every time you go to each one of them.
Well, I don't want to hog all the questions because I know Scott has some, including, I know he wants to talk about a big accolade that you guys recently had. So go ahead, Scott.
Yeah. So first of all, congratulations to you both on your new positions. Because I think when we first started, figuring out dates, you guys weren't even in those roles yet. So congratulations to both of you. But the thing Steve's talking about is, we sent an email about this too, and as we were communicating, this came up, or at least I came across it in Forbes. Holidays, which is a beer you guys make, was voted the best IPA in the world. And I went back and read that. It's in the world at the World Beer Competition. So that is amazing. First of all, congratulations. That is a huge deal, right? We're not going to skip across that. Is huge in the world. So talk about that, and talk about like what's the process for that? How proud of you guys are of that?
Well, getting featured in Forbes was definitely not on my list of things that we would accomplish with our beer, but that's pretty rad. We won that. That was actually last November when the competition went down. And Holidays, our winner seasonal IPA with Spruce Tips. We entered that. It was perfect timing. We had the beer fresh. And we won gold and then double gold as best IPA in the competition. And it was awesome. We were excited then. And then just a couple weeks ago, that article got published on Forbes, and the thrill and excitement came right back, which was really cool. And obviously it's getting a lot of traction now too, because it is in Forbes. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that's when we saw it. So what's the process in getting, is it something you submit every year? Was it the first time you guys had done that with that beer?
That is the first time we've actually entered in that competition at all.
Yeah. That's what makes it. What kind of and it just, I say accolades. You were small time, so don't need much from us. But what kind of accolades have you guys got though from that, from seeing that, and like what kind of responses have you got from winning that?
Well, I know that people from Australia and various parts of Europe are reaching out asking if we distribute and ship that way now.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, we all want it now, sure.
Yeah. It's fun. But yeah, it's just getting the name out there and the recognition is really cool. I mean, it's a beer we've actually made it for a couple years now and we're all really proud of. And to see it recognized that way is just, it's an honor. I love it.
Do you feel like you'll have to make more of it now because maybe the demand's higher?
We'll see. I think this year we'll stick to what the plans are, and then if things go in our favor, then next year we'll kind of turn it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So you make a lot of beers. When you were making that one, was it a surprise to you that it took off that well? Did it exceed your expectations? Can you go into that a little bit more?
I mean, I think from the very beginning, that beer has been a taproom beer. It used to be called Maverick and Spruce, and it's been a production and employee favorite. It was a patron favorite as well. And so to see it like go into an actual can and distributed and then get that type of amazing accolade has been a truly beautiful thing to witness. I think, a lot of our beers that have been moved to cores and distributed all start in the tap room. So just to see that quality and the growth in that has been really cool to see.
And what I kept reading, or what kept coming up when I was reading, is the spruce tip seems to be that thing that sets that beer apart.
Yeah, so Brittany can probably talk about this a little more than I can because she's worked really hard to make sure that we're actually getting some fucking awesome spruce tips. But I think that it's really a combination of like that and finding the right hops that just play so well together.
So I look back when I saw that, I looked back in Untapped to see if I'd had it, and I'd had it in 2021 and 2022. And has that recipe changed at all during those times? You try to make that beer the same way every single time?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, good. I've given it a 4.0 both of those times, so I feel pretty good about it. I was like, yeah, I'm right there with
the best IPA in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, let me ask you guys. So you guys MadTree started in 2013. Obviously, everybody wants to know we know where the name came from. Can you talk about a little bit about where the name came from and kind of how MadTree got started?
Yeah, so I really wish there was like a fun story to tell for the name. I really do. And I've said that so many times now. I probably should come up with a story. So this is better now. But when our co-founders, Brady and Kenny, they've been homebrewing for a long time. They gotten to the point where they're like, let's go for this. Let's start a business. They were getting good at it, and they were both ready to get out of the professionals they were in. And I believe it was Brady's wife. They were, I guess, around one night spitballing names, and she was like, we love trees, and you guys are mad scientists making these beers, and they literally put the words together, and it's stuck. But I think that it's stuck in like the best way possible because it really has like built our business and our brand. With our focus on being 1% for the planet and now B Corp certified, like, I mean, it has really helped to build a foundation of what we are and who we are. So, yeah.
Yeah, there aren't many people we talk to who we can mention the MadTree name and they don't know who it is. It's up there, especially in that area for sure. So, hey, if you've been to MadTree, absolutely, we've been to MadTree, been to both of them.
I feel like when I got into craft beer, years ago, MadTree was the Oakley location was one of the first locations I went into. And the thing that struck me was, obviously we talked a few minutes ago about how big it is, but really how many people are coming in with their families, with kids, and there's so many different things that you guys have to offer. It seems like you really are trying to not just bring in, craft beer lovers, but you're trying to bring in families too. Can you guys talk a little bit more about that, of how important that is for you all?
I mean, one of our core beliefs is building something that our kids are proud of. And that, I think, follows within every portion of our business, whether it's hospitality or production, private events. And so a lot of that focus goes into how do we contain our spaces to, be open, to allow everyone to feel comfortable there, no matter age or stature. Yeah.
I want to say when I maybe the very first trip I went with Steve on, again, he goes a lot more than I have, but the very first trip we took to Cincinnati, MadTree is the one I can remember going to first. And I don't know if exactly what, but that's the one that stands out in my mind first. Sitting out there in the yard, just taking it all in, thinking how great this was. I'm like, no wonder you've been raving about Cincinnati so much. So, let's talk about some of your beers that you make. So currently, at least on your website, you've got 6 year-round beers and 8 seasonals. And one of the seasonals looks like it just came out today. That's your Oktoberfest, right? The one that Ryan is drinking right now.
Yeah.
Yep. Ziegler.
Yep. So the question is, I guess, do you 6 and 8, 6 year rounds and 8 seasonal currently? Is that a number you guys try to maintain? Does it vary? Like, hey, we always want 6 year-round beers and we always want 8 seasonals, or how does that work?
It is something we've had for a while. We've been around for 11 years now, and we've established ourselves in the distribution game and have been able to establish some really good, shelf placements, and it's good for business, right? So we continue to make sure that we have those beers that can fulfill that. And I think it's about the right amount of beers to manage too. With what we're putting in the cans, with our taproom space, that allows us to make all kinds of fun new beers. I mean, we have 2 brew houses, so we have a smaller brew house that we're always making fun new beers, and probably 50 to 60 new beers a year. If I had to guess that we get to flow through those taps there, but I think 6 cores and 8 seasonals definitely is the right cadence for us, and it keeps things fresh and allows our customers to have something new to try all the time.
No doubt. So you were drinking, again, you're drinking the Fest beer, and it came out today. Do you guys feel, how do you determine when to put the Fest beer out, or any seasonal beer? And I say Fest beer because that always seems to be the one that comes out earlier and earlier every year. Is it the market?
Yeah, it's our biggest customer is Kroger. That's where a lot of our brand release calendar is dictated by their seasonals. We do a lot of research to make sure that we're following what everyone else trends are as well. Or, if we can, if we're ahead of the game, that's great, but at least going with what the market and what the consumer is wanting for sure.
Does that mean you have to start making it earlier and earlier in the season too, earlier in the year, because it has to come out sooner? Yeah.
We've been pretty consistent where our Oktoberfest and our pumpkin beer that should be out, it'll be out next week. We've kept those pretty much at the end of July, early August. And, we're not really pushing the seasonal to be too much earlier than what everyone else is doing. We're comfortable with not being the first one on the market.
Yeah. With that being said, how do you guys feel about being out in July, having to put the Fest beer out in July?
Our Ziegler actually won a World Beer Cup medal, and so we had to make it in February to make sure that we get entered in that competition. Mm-hmm. Honestly, if we could have German lagers all the time, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love it. Like, I would love that stuff year round. The only problem I have with it is it goes away too soon. And again, I use Fest beer as an example, or Oktoberfest, because that's kind of my favorite time of year for beers, and maybe most people would agree. Oh, it's here. Okay, the summer stuff's gone, but then it's gone away so soon. And then you're like, there it goes.
Knock that fridge up then.
Yeah.
Get a couple months supply in there.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, yeah.
Ziegler and the Great Pumpkin are really two of my favorites that you all do, that I've had over the years, and I've really loved them as well. We know that Cincinnati has a big German heritage. Oktoberfest Cincinnati will be coming up in September. Are you guys involved in other Oktoberfest events that go on around the city that you can talk about, besides, what goes on at MadTree?
Yeah, we do have Ziegler Fest at the brewery every year. Off the top of my head, I don't remember the date. Brittany might know it. And there's always events that we're getting pulled into, and our sales team is always great getting on top of that and making sure our beer and brand is represented as many places as possible. And then, yeah, Oktoberfest Cincinnati, is definitely the biggest one that we're involved in.
Can you describe that event for people that maybe have never been, because it's pretty incredible?
It's huge. And it actually will be different this year, is they are moving it. So it used to be on 2nd and 3rd Street, downtown, a couple blocks both ways. I mean, it's just a massive Oktoberfest festival that takes over downtown. But it is being moved down to Sawyer Point, which is our park down on the banks on the river. And I think it's just going to make it even feel more authentic. You're going to be in trees, you're going to be in the grass, there's going to be big tents. And I honestly can't wait for it.
I want to say, I feel like I've seen before that the Cincinnati Oktoberfest is the second largest in the world, right behind Munich.
Steve, you've been,
it's
right?
a big deal here.
Yeah. Yeah, I went a couple of years. I had been when I was younger, and then I went up there a couple of years ago with a friend of mine. I hadn't been in a number of years, and I was like, I love this, I mean, and it's such a great representation of really what Cincinnati kind of stands for, because they're such German, the German heritage. So it really represents and fits that whole area. Wouldn't you guys say that's true?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And we have tours where you can go down into the lager tunnels. And, we have a lot of just old breweries here. Like if you just walk around downtown, you can still see the facades of Christian Moorline. Actually, Alcove is one of the building that it's in is in one of the older breweries, the Henry Violet Brewery. So yeah, there's a ton of German history here, and a lot of brewing history in Cincinnati.
Scott mentioned, some of your core beers, and I know, the legendary lager, Happy Amber, and Shade. All of these are really different style of beers. So how important it is for you guys to make sure you're doing that, not just you're pigeonholed into just like IPAs, but how important is it from a focus of we want to do a lot of different styles all the time to get people to keep coming back in and try different beers for us? Is that something that you all focus on a lot?
Yeah, I think that we definitely strive to make sure our portfolio is diverse, and we're trying to grab as many drinkers as we can into our brand, just like our spaces, right? We want to make sure that people are welcome of all types to come in there and enjoy what we do, and beer's the same way. I think that beer is awesome, and a lot of people who don't drink beer might not gravitate towards it for one reason or another, but if we continue to have offerings of all different types, we're going to find something that they'll like, and I'm sure that they will. And we continue to try to fight for that and continue to fight for beer.
Along those lines, then, let's talk about the Sway.
Yeah.
That looks like it is I believe it's like, now, do you guys brew that too? I mean, I know MadTree does, but is that part of your brewing process as well? Is that done at a different facility? Or look, it looks like a very big deal.
It is so we blend it at our facility. We do not distill any of the liquor that goes into Sway. But it's all happening right there back in production in the airplane hangar.
And describe what Sway is.
So Sway is a ready-to-drink cocktail. It is a vodka soda. So we actually Ryan made a mineral water base, and then we source the vodka from a company here in the States, and then we add the natural flavor extracts to it.
Now, the website showed 13 different flavors, and one that wasn't
As
on
of
there.
right now.
Right. And then and there's another one that seems to be a fan favorite called Rocket Pop.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen that across the board in different beers, this summer because of 4th of July and the whole thing. But It looks like it's a huge deal. We have a friend. Her name's Liz, and her Instagram is Every Damn Bubbling. She requested that it be seasonal, or not seasonal, be year round and not seasonal, because she loves it so much. But like she was drinking over 4th of July, and I've not seen it before or until we kind of researched this. So it seems to be a huge deal for you guys.
That definitely, I think, went past our wildest dreams as far as like a limited time release way. That was a fun one to develop.
Nice.
Where are the flavor? Again, 13 different flavors up there. It sounds like maybe more coming. Like, is it just experimenting? Hey, that would go good with that, and let's try this. And
yeah, I mean, it's watching flavor trends in food and cocktails and just, people want something new all the time, and that gives us a really easy, nice platform to work with to provide new flavors. And we have a great in-house team that does all the R&D, and we have to suffer through a lot of endless trials of some flavors that may not be that great. The banana sway that I tried today was horrible.
Oh no!
But you got to try those to get to the good ones.
Yes, right.
Yeah, so we're always trying and experiment with new things. And yeah, sways have been a fun thing to work on.
Look, man, we will, if you guys need some guinea pigs, we're happy.
There's always people knocking down the doors trying to get them to do that.
No
we
doubt.
love to do it. So, you guys opened obviously in 2013, and I can't say I remember, because maybe I'm more of a craft beer guy, but when I first came into MadTree, I don't remember that you all on your list, you had all of these other different offerings, and we've heard so much about the market changing. I know there's a lot of breweries now that are offering like seltzers more and ciders. I'm drinking a cider tonight. Can you guys talk about that a little bit more, how that's changed your business? Have you had to evolve over the last couple of years because of some of these changes in the marketplace?
Yeah, 100%. We definitely, we're not stubborn. We know that our business needs to continue to evolve to stay relevant, and grow and be sustainable. So, even we opened our location in Oakley in 2017. And at that time we were like, what else do we need to do to keep this space full, keep our, our customers in our neighborhood happy. I want to make sure that, we might have a group of 10 in there, 8 of them are beer drinkers and 2 of them aren't. I want to make sure they're enjoying themselves. And that's really what we're all focused on. So we started with offering wine. Then we started making our own cider. And then we evolved into cocktails. And then, so we're always continuing to look at ways to make sure that, we're satisfying our customers and we're staying relevant,
Sure. Have you done any, or have you had any requests for like non-alcoholic beers or like gluten-free type?
Yeah, we definitely have, and we've experimented with NA beer. Brittany, I think it was maybe 2 years ago when we did some small batches, and they went okay. They're not easy to make, and we were just figuring out what our priorities were. So we do bring in some NA beers to have in cans for customers, so that we have them available.
That's great. And sidebar though, and I was reading, isn't there 2 ways to make non-alcoholic beer? You kind of make it once with alcohol and try to pull it out, and then there's a way to do it without it. Probably what you were talking about there.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely multiple ways to do it. It's stripping the alcohol out and then building the beer back up, or if it's doing a fermentation that only gets up to 0.5 or below. And it's just, you got to have a lot of focus on it. And we just didn't have a lot of focus on it when you're experimenting with it. And then you also got to make sure it's safe to drink. You take the alcohol out of it, you take all the shelf stability out of it. So, we want to make sure that we have a product that people are it's easy and safe for them to consume too. So.
Sure. Well, and the fact that at least you have something on at the tap room for someone to have, like you said, so some people can stay.
Yep.
And you have something for everyone. Sure. Let's talk about distribution. We used to be able to get MadTree in Nashville, and maybe Tennessee as a whole, I don't know. How many states do you distribute to now? And how come we can't get any in Nashville anymore?
So we just distribute to Ohio and Kentucky now. We were distributing to Tennessee. It a lot of time, like the business plan just kind of refocused where we wanted to pull back our focus onto our core area, which is Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, and a little bit out in the burbs. So like 75% of our business for our sales right now is within our area of the Cincinnati. So we pulled out of Tennessee just so we could put the workforce behind where we knew we could make a bigger impact on our business. So very sorry. Down by you guys.
Well, Bowling Green is like an hour from here, so I could hit Bowling Green, which I should have done in the first 3 days of this week.
Well, whenever I come to Cincinnati, I always, if I'm not able to hit MadTree for some reason, I always try to stop at Party Stores or maybe Jungle Gyms because I know I'm going to get some of your beer there. So there's just some great locations too that I know have them, and as you said, Kroger certainly has them there too, up in that area.
Yeah, Jungle Gyms and Party Source are amazing places to find beer.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, how would you guys describe the brewery scene in Cincinnati for people that maybe have never been there before? I love asking this question because I'm a little biased being from there, but I feel like it's pretty top notch across the country of places that I've been.
I feel like our beer scene is hidden. I think hidden would be the word I would go with. Rheingeist is been in the top 25 producing breweries in the past couple of years. You have us. You have Brink, who has won many awards.
Yep.
World Beer Cup. You have us also winning a lot of awards. Rheingeist. We have some of the best breweries in the nation right here in our little pocket. But, not a lot of people travel here to Cincinnati. They're still going to Asheville, San Diego.
Yeah.
They're going to Seattle, Portland. So I would say Cincinnati is kind of like the hidden, maybe it's like the little honeypot of the beer scene right now.
But are you both surprised, though, at the number of breweries that are in Cincinnati for the size of the city? It's not a small city, but if you go to a lot of other cities, maybe comparable or even bigger, it seems like Cincinnati has a lot of breweries everywhere. I mean, are you guys surprised by the amount that there are in the area and how many are successful, and you guys have been able to maintain that success?
I'm not. I mean, you said about it a couple of times now, but if you think about the German heritage in our city,
Yep.
There's a lot of beer drinkers, not just German. There's Irish and there's everything. And I think if you think about like the amount of breweries we have, a lot of them are your like neighborhood style brew pubs. That, in my opinion, every neighborhood could have their own brew pub. It's no different than having their own bar, right? And I do think there's room for more breweries in Cincinnati in that regard. So I think that there's still room. I'm not surprised by the many that we have. There's a lot of great breweries in town. There's a lot of great brewers. We have an awesome brewing science program at Cincinnati State that is like doing a great job educating people that live here on how to make beer. So like all the breweries in town are lucky to be able to actually hire graduates that are like knowledgeable and can come in and crush it. So we're set up for continuing to grow this.
Cincinnati is a destination city for us for beer. The more there are, the more we're going to come back because every time we go, we haven't hit them all, and we that is our goal ultimately. But they keep adding more, and we keep coming back, and and that's what we want. And I'm glad to hear you say that. Like, hey, there's still room for more here. So something I'm always curious about, you guys are a big production facility. You've got multiple production facilities. How do you maintain quality or consistency even? Quality is one thing, but consistency. How do you make the same beer the same way over and over and over again?
I think it's building the right culture and mindset with our employees to want to strive for the best every time. We have a rigorous sensory program where everybody's trained on all flavors and what our brand should be. And anybody can speak up and stop about your beer from leaving the door if they don't think it tastes right. And we have trained panelists all over the company, not from just production, but, in marketing and our hospitality staff. And I think is one of the reasons why we've been as successful as we have been, because that's been one of the main focuses of ours.
Yeah, because it's not just the recipe, right? If we all had the same exact recipe, all four of us, and we all had the same equipment, we're going to have 4 different beers, or it's going to taste different, all of us. So you got to have something in place to keep that consistency going.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of technology is there that you guys use? Is there like some kind of quality room or like a lab or something you guys use along the way too? Is that part of it?
Yeah, we have a full-time quality lab team, and we have like Brian was saying, we have a robust sensory panel where we do have our separate sensory area. So any product that we package, keg or can, has to go through the sensory panel. It is not released for the tap room or distribution to take away from us until it is passed by our panel that day. So nothing literally leaves our dock until at least the next day.
Reminds me of like if you take a distillery tour or something, and people that work in distilleries, they're all tasters in there. It's like, that's the job I want.
It's the best part of the job.
Yeah. But you get to be so good at it that if you taste the same thing every day, but if something's off. Yeah. You're that good to be able to tell it. That's kind of remarkable.
It also makes you hate beer a little bit too.
Especially if you like a variety, right? If you like,
you got to learn to turn it off so you can enjoy it again. Yeah.
Much like when we edit these podcasts, turning the sound of our voices off.
Oh man, you guys talked about a little bit about where you are right now as far as like the vodka sodas and the craft beer. Where do you think things are heading? Where would both of you say in 5 or 10 years? Can you forecast where you think things might be heading in this whole market?
I have no idea. It's a wild world. I mean, with where THC is going right now, trying to understand what the younger generation is interested in. There's less people drinking alcohol nowadays. So, I think for us and one of the reasons why we're not in Tennessee is we focused on growing our own spaces to create experiences for people. And that's what we're focused on. And I think that's what we're kind of hedging our bets on.
And I think that's really important. And like I said, I think the first time I ever went into MadTree in Oakley, I noticed that. Like, you guys really embrace that. You're trying to embrace the experience of that. And one of the things that, on your website you all talk about is, celebrating protecting nature. Can you really talk about how involved you all are and your employees are in doing like community initiatives and things like that? Because it's on your website really talking about how important that is for you guys.
Yeah. So we joined the 1% for the Planet. I believe it was 2020. Is that correct, Ryan?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So part of joining that network is 1% of our profits go to non-profits that are sustainability focused. So we have a couple of local partners in Cincinnati that we work with mostly. Cincinnati Zoo, the Cincinnati Parks Foundation, Groundworks, Adventure Brew, I think are the main 5. But part of that is not just our profit 1%. All of our employees actually do volunteer throughout the year at different events. It's 16 hours of paid volunteer time that we'll go to the zoo and work with the horticulture department. We'll help them out for the day of resetting all of the flowers that they have there, the tulips. We work with a couple of schools in the area that have raised garden beds, so the children there can learn how they can cultivate their own garden at home. So that's one of the big main focuses. And one of our bigger events is always in the fall, where we do a gigantic tree planting. So we pick a neighborhood every year that has a lower percentage canopy than what we want for sustainable. focus, and we'll plant trees. And this year, I think is going to be the biggest one. Rhiannon, who you talked about earlier, has just exploded this work with us, and it's been a joy to see how, since we joined 1%, how it's just grown past like my wildest dreams. I think last year we planted over 5,000 trees through our volunteer work and then through our dollars that we gave to the nonprofits in the local Cincinnati area.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey, and above and beyond that, and Ryan, you mentioned this early on, you are a certified B Corp. And let me throw a little stat. You're the only certified B Corp brewery in Ohio, and less than 0.2% of breweries in the U.S. are B Corp certified. So explain what that is, and it is a huge deal from what I can tell.
I mean, to sum it up, it's companies that focus on doing the right thing, whether that's environmentally focused, how you treat your employees, how you treat your community, just all the things. You're putting all the right processes in place to make sure that you are building a better future for those, beyond us. As Brittany mentioned earlier, one of our focuses is building a company that our kids are proud of. It's putting all those things in place now, and making sure and holding ourselves to that we will continue to do those kind of things.
And it's not something you do once. It's something you have to sustain too, right? You have to continually do that. It takes work. And again, the volunteerism and whatever, like it's a consistent thing. So you don't just, do it one time and when we're out. You have to maintain that.
Yep.
You guys did a collab once that I know of, maybe more, with Jackalope here in Nashville. And it was called, Phone a Friend. And I want to say it came out during this last CBC that was here. Maybe it was before that, or maybe it was for something else. But when I discovered it was for this last CBC that was here. So is that something you guys have done a lot of, collabs, something you like to do?
They've definitely fallen off in the past couple of years. It's hard to do those things. It's hard to schedule those things. But we have done Phone a Friend twice with Jackalope for both CBCs in Nashville. The first time we brewed it at our place, and that was actually right around the time we were launching in Tennessee. So it was kind of a perfect do the collab, do all this thing, and have some events around town, which was awesome in Nashville. And then since it was coming back around to Nashville, we're like, we got to do this again.
Yeah.
And we brought in some of our ingredient partners too. Breeze collabed and helped with the malt. And Crosby help with the hops. So the whole relationship between us and Jackalope is we both have the same brew house manufacturer, and we were both buying brew houses at the same time. Yeah, it was very organic. We met them, and it just they're great people, and just kind of started hanging out, and it just kind of went from there.
That's great. I think the name is pretty lending to the collab too, which is pretty cool. When you say that, you brewed there or they brewed there and you brewed here, what does that entail? Just some people come down from your brewery and help here make it, and vice versa. What does the actual collab consist of?
Yeah. So specifically for this collab at the past CBC, we had Ryan and I go down there, one of our brewers, and then one of our quality technicians. So a lot of times, we like to approach collabs of, we want to bring some people down to learn from you, and then we want you to learn from us as well. So obviously it's a jovial time. We're still getting the job done. Making the beer and everything, but it's a learning and growing process as well as enjoying each other's company.
Yeah. And can they learn on different equipment too?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, even though we have a Springman brew house and Jackalope does as well, our brewer that was down there was learning a ton of stuff from their brewer, just how they have different processes in place. They might do something a little bit different than us. They manage their yeast in a different way. So our quality technician is learning all of that too. So you can learn anything. Just ask the right questions and want to be involved in it.
Yeah. That's cool. It's something, not the same thing, but Steve and I would love to do a collab with someone somewhere along the way. So we're trying to learn about that and kind of, okay, what exactly is it, and what can we bring to the table at some point somewhere along the way. So.
And you guys are always still learning too. It sounds like, a little bit as we talking about some of the craft beer and some of the vodka sodas and everything else. Maybe almost, I would imagine learning on the job every once in a while, right?
Every day.
Yeah, I mean, beer's been made for a long time now, but we're always learning and learning new tricks of the trade, and we're never stuck in our ways. And if we can improve processes or try new ingredients, we're all for it. So,
love it.
Yep.
You guys ever participate in any beer fests, like local Cincinnati Beer Fest? Is that a thing you guys do?
Oh yeah, our sales team is phenomenal. They make sure we're involved with all of that.
Yeah, those things are fun. Oh, here's maybe a fun, maybe a silly question, but what's the weirdest ingredient you've ever used in brewing a beer? They're both laughing like, oh, I know the answer to this.
I'm curious what Ryan's going to say because he's been at MadTree longer than me.
So this was, I think, 2018. We were invited to pour at Extreme Beer Fest in Boston that Beer Advocate was putting on. And obviously it's called Extreme Beer Fest. So, we were trying all different types of unique ways to create new beers. And one of the beers that we wanted to try was a black goza, right? So dark, right? But tart and salty. And we came up with the idea of making the beer black and salty by using squid ink.
Wow.
How easy was that to find?
Well, not easy. And then come to find out, so we added it, when we added it in the process, it actually bound to the yeast. So when the yeast fell out of suspension, it came out of the tank like a black, thick, like ink goo. And then the beer itself was just this dark, gray, muddy water. It was absolutely disgusting looking. It did not work whatsoever. It kind of smelled and tasted okay, but like visually, you did not want to serve that.
No.
So yeah, that's probably at the top of my list of like the weirdest ingredients we tried. Actually, I will say we did a collaboration with a restaurant really early on. We did a smoked porter for this Mexican restaurant, and we used some of their pork consomme in it, and it was delicious. It had like this, like really umami and like smoky, savory character to it, and it was really good. So yes, I think between squid ink and pork, those are the two weirdest things I've used.
Brittany, in your short time as head brewer, if you've used anything weird yet, or
no, but the squid ink story was definitely going to be the one that I would have brought up. I've heard stories that I unfortunately did not witness.
Did you happen to save any of that to put it back for like history's sake or anything? Or
I got some photos of it, but I keep those to myself.
Okay.
Love it.
Of what not to do.
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting a flight? And I like when people get flights and the color diversity is there.
Yeah.
And you get this nice gray one.
Yeah. That was not something we were going to serve.
Yeah.
It was a good idea, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you, and I heard this somewhere, and I don't know if you guys know or not, but you guys are doing a rebranding collab with a certain college local to you guys. Maybe it's your canning, psychopathy. Are you guys doing something with Xavier? I was trying to surprise Steve because Steve's a Xavier. Is there a rebranding with Xavier going on?
Not with Xavier. We brought in Xavier's students to help us gather some data on a project that Ryan and I and a bunch of people in our marketing, our quality team have been working on for a year now of doing a refresh on our brand of our cans. So we use Xavier students to help us with that.
Yep.
Oh, great.
Is that across the board? Is that for a particular brand?
It is for Psychopathy. We'll be getting a new can.
Okay.
As well as a few of our other core beers that you'll start seeing in stores beginning of September.
Oh, cool. To look out for that.
Well, terrific. Hey guys, we appreciate you being here today. And before we wrap it up, because I know you all have been here for a while and taken out the precious time of your day, wanted to end on certainly a positive note. For people that have not been to your brewery, how do they find you on social media to reach out and look up everything that's all MadTree? Where do they find you?
So our website's super easy, madtree.com. It gives you all the information you need for all of our spaces, what's on tap, what do we have to eat, hours and all that fun stuff. MadTree Brewing on Instagram and Facebook gives you update on our products and what we have going on. And then we do have a MadTree taproom page too on Instagram that will give you more in depth, like what are the happenings in our taproom.
Hey, I'd like to mention to you on your website is that 2023 impact report that talks about your Core B certified. Look at that. There's a lot of information on there. That's good. And the products you can even order online. I don't know if that's just for local stuff. I tried to get it shipped. They wouldn't ship here. But and I even saw that there was like if you plant a tree for $1 with an online order. And then there's like a Christmas in July, 20% off gift purchases, $50 or more. I know it's the end of July now, but there's some cool stuff on the website. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Well, terrific. Well, guys, we appreciate it. I always, like I said earlier, every time I get up there, I try to get to MadTree. And if I can't get to MadTree, then I get somewhere to get your beer and bring it back to Tennessee. And hopefully, we'll be back there soon. So we appreciate you guys coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was a lot of fun.
All right, definitely.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. It's Ryan Blevins. He is the Director of Brewing Ops from MadTree Brewing, and Brittany Frey. We appreciate it. And that is going to do it for this episode. For Scott Touron, I'm Steve Sullivan, and this has been the Brewery Underground Podcast.
Cheers.